Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NUFC360 podcast. My name is Will Dixon, joined by Mark and Kyle for this week. How are we, gentlemen?
All good. Fantastic. Bit of a surprise, but yeah, all good. Happy to be on.
We both said all good at exactly the same time. That's what we're looking for. This kind of synchronization is fantastic. Lots to talk about this week. Another signing through the door at St. James's Park, and it was the one we all wanted. We'll talk about Sven Botman shortly. We're also going to be talking about Newcastle's new third kit, which was released a couple of days ago. Plenty of talking points around this one. And we're also going to be talking about season ticket demand. Is it time to expand St. James's Park, or is this something we need to look at further down the line? But all that is to come. First of all, there is only one place where we can start. Sven Botman is a Newcastle player. At long last, we tried so hard in January to get him, didn't get him over the line. In the summer, we kept trying. We fought off European giants and Serie A champions AC Milan for his signature. And whilst he's not officially a Newcastle United player yet, the club have announced the deal was agreed in principle, and he will be joining Eddie Howe's squad in time for the new season. Mark, a couple of weeks ago, you said you didn't think this was going to happen. What's your reaction to seeing the Dutch defender sign on the dotted line, we think?
I'm happy to eat humble pie and say that I was wrong in that one. At that point, it did look like it wasn't going to happen. Similarly with the Ekatike one, and it was at the point where I'm like, as a club, let's not get messed around. Don't wait too much. Let's just if clubs are being silly things or players don't want to be here, then let them go. I think a lot of the issues over when people saying Botman didn't want to be here, that was all fed by the Italian media. Wasn't the English media, wasn't Botman himself. He never came out and said that he doesn't want to be in Newcastle. Going back to January, he was quite happy to come here, and that's when we win a relegation battle. So if he's happy to come to Newcastle when we're in the bottom three, I'm sure he's happy to come to Newcastle when we've finished 11th.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Kyle, this is seemingly the player Eddie Howe wanted, his number one target. It was probably our number one defensive target in January as well. I mean, how pleased are you, or maybe displeased? I don't know what your thoughts are on Sven Botman.
To be honest, Will, I'm in a bit of a warp, because the last time I spoke to both of you, Newcastle were really bad. we were fucking shit. And I'm speaking to you now, and we've got Sven Botman, one of the up and comers, best centre backs in Europe. We've signed like Kieran Trippier, and that it's like, I feel like I'm on a different world, and like someone's just like take an MCU multiverse thing, because I haven't spoke to you in like 2 or 3 years, and all this has just happened. But like Sven Botman, like I watched him against Chelsea last season, and he looks the real deal. Like, he's powerful he's powerful strength wise. He's good on the ball, and he seems to be that centerpiece to the back five that Eddie Howe signed over the past couple of months. Obviously, we've brought in the goalkeeper, brought in Trippier, brought in Dan Burn, Target, and obviously now your marquee signing in Botman. I'm really happy with the signing, and I think, honestly, people will look back on 35 million as an absolute snip, because 35 million for someone of Botman's caliber, and someone who personally, well, Maldini wanted him, and like if he's even half as good as what Maldini was, like you've got a really good defender on your hands. So for me, Sven Botman, 35 million, absolute snippet. I mean, Liverpool paid 35 million for Andy Carroll. Like, it's in football terms, 35 million for a defender of his quality is very, very little, to be honest. If you look at the high end, and that's what we're looking to compete at, that's the way I think on it. Like,
I mean, Mark, this is the question we wanted to pose is this a pivotal signing for Newcastle? And how do you feel like he's going to fit into this side, and how is he going to fit into this team? You got to remember, he's a left-footed centre back. We signed a left-footed centre back only in January in Dan Burn, and he's done nothing wrong. I think Dan Burn's been fantastic since he's come into the club. So is this someone that's going to maybe partner alongside Dan Burn, or is it going to see Fabian Schär keep his place? What are you thinking?
I think either could happen. From what I understand, Eddie Howe's not adverse to playing two left-footed centre backs in the centre of defence. The one thing which I'd love is you look at our set pieces when you've got Dan Burn and Sven Botman, in this 18-yard box trying to win corners, because they're both very tall, very powerful men. A lot of talk, especially in Holland, is that he's got all the attributes the same as what Van Dijk did, and he's sort of like that sort of like mold. Now, if we can get the next Van Dijk for 35 million, we've got a bargain on our hands, because and I think as everyone says, and it's probably he could be like our Vincent Kompany, that one signing that's just gonna be the difference. He's going to be the leader. He's going to do everything. I think this is probably the big one. No wonder the club spent all that time waiting to get him, because they're like, no, this is the player we want. This is the one that's going to be making all the difference. Yeah, and like I said, whether or not it's Schär or whatever, yeah. The only thing is, it doesn't even matter, because whether or not it's Dan Burn or Fabian Schär, we're still going to have a cracking looking back line, with Nick Pope, Trippier, Schär, Burn, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Kyle, how much has Newcastle's defence improved now? Seeing obviously Matt Targett's been secured on a long-term basis, and now Nick Pope in goalkeeper as well, and Sven Botman. I mean, that's a pretty strong-looking back line, especially compared to where this time last year.
I mean, this time last year, we were hoping as a fan base that we wouldn't sell Fleury and Lejeune. Like, you fast forward a year, we've got this amazing whole new back five, goalkeeper included, who fit into a system. Like last year, Steve Bruce, I'm pretty sure I didn't know what a system was. Still doesn't. It's just so surreal. Like it's like we've got a manager that knows what he's doing, but that's a massive thing, because we've had a manager who didn't. Like Steve Bruce just signed players for the sake of signing players, whereas Eddie Howe
got a manager who does training.
A training and a holiday twice a week. Who would have thought? It's a miracle. But I just think it's all fitting into what we're going to be at the start of the season in terms of a collective, rather than hoping Maxi and Wilson stay fit for a season, because they'll bail Steve Bruce out the shit enough times to keep up. Whereas now we're looking forward, we're looking up with new owners and a new feel. Obviously, the season tickets that will come on too soon, being off the hook, kind of get them for love nor money. Like it's just proof. Like with the amount of players that we're bringing in and the infrastructure and the plan that Eddie Howe's got, just nice to see the team looking forward and looking not over our shoulder for once.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, this signing of Botman, obviously Bruno Guimaraes in January as well. This was never in our wildest dreams that we could sign two players like this. Even 1 year ago. Is this kind of, especially with the Botman signing, is this kind of like the new yardstick, if you like, for Newcastle? And is everybody going to sort of start looking up and paying attention as to the ambitions of what this club can do?
I think everyone is, but yeah, you don't just have to say Bruno. Yeah, we were shocked that we're signing deals for like Dan Burn, Kieran Trippier, Matt Targett, all these players. Yeah, if we think just to the last summer window, we're struggling to find a £200,000 loan fee to get Hamza Chowdhury in.
It's mental. Like
poor
kid,
in. Great. Poor kid, because he's probably thinking, "Oh, great! This summer's my chance because they've been taken over." Sorry, Hamza. Yeah, you're not in that caliber anymore. But no, you do look at it. I didn't know a lot about Bruno Guimaraes, but you hear everyone saying, "Oh no, he's really good," and you're thinking, "Oh, but he might not do it." And then you see him play, and you watch him. And I've spent games watching, and you just go, "My God, he is just like a step above everyone else." And I think that's going to be the same with Sven Botman. He is that step above what we've already got. No disrespect, to Fabian Schär and Dan Burn, but you are signing the next caliber of players. Yeah. And it's really, I'm excited for the season. because I'm looking at the Arsenal game and I'm going, if that's how we're going to play, but now we've got better players, then come on, Nottingham Forest. I can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, Kyle, obviously, we've spoken about the signs that have happened. Of course, it's not all been rosy on that front. We've seen the Ekitike deal effectively fall through. And I think there is some disappointment in that one. It'd be interesting if you're watching on, see what your thoughts on that. How many more signings, what other signings do Newcastle need to make to become that team that can maybe even look to push for those European places, or are we already there?
I think in terms of squad depth, we need to bring in a couple more. But, in terms of like a first 11, it's probably the strongest first 11 we've had since the 2012 season when we finished 5th. Like, we've got a really strong first 11 there already. Maybe we need to bring in a right winger. I know a lot of people are talking about Diaby and people like that. And actually, to be fair, Will, one of the things I think still should be looked at as a positive is weirdly the whatever his name is, Ekitike deal going through.
Ekitike.
Ekitike, that one. Right. The reason I think it's a good thing it's fell through is because it's kind of shown that the owners won't be fucked about. Like, for me, like everything was agreed, everything was all sorted out, and then the agent wanted more money because he sees Newcastle as a money-owned Saudi Arabian PIF like massive thing, and he's tried to take advantage of that, and he won't, and they're not going to be taking the piss out of. So, to be fair, I thought that was a really good thing, and it's the same with the Botman deal as well. They played hardball and they negotiated tough, even though they've got the budget. It doesn't mean they're just going to go and do a Man United and spend 80 million on a shit centre back. Do you know what I mean? They're gonna fight and make sure they've got the right person. And if it doesn't align, and if someone's not playing their side well, I think then they'll just fob it off and look for someone else. And I think that's a good way of going about it, because at least when we get players in, we know they're going to be the right ones. Because if something's went wrong, it's been wrong on the other side so far, like with the agent with Ekitike. There we go. Got that one. I don't need to keep the name right now because he's not coming, but hey ho, it's one of them.
Mark, I mean, last one before we move on. How pleased are you with the approach that you've seen from the ownership in this transfer window with, seemingly, being very persistent, getting Botman over the line, their top target, really not letting that one slide, but then also dropping Ekitike after a certain amount and after probably certain demands were made of the club and from transfer fees and from agent fees?
It's refreshing seeing a club willing to spend money, but also being careful with it compared to the previous regime, which I don't really want to name, who was careful with money but didn't want to spend it. But it is like, if you look at the deals, like 12 million for Matt Targett, obviously missing the loan fee, but that 12 million for Kieran Trippier, about 14 million for Dan Burn, 10 million for Nick Pope. That for me is the bargain of the season. You're getting an England international goalkeeper at 30, so he's still got maybe 5-6 years at least. I would still see ahead of him for 10 million. I think that's an absolute steal. I even think 30 odd million. Yeah, and Newcastle, I think, stood their ground. They were like, no, that's what we've offered. Come on, AC Milan, yeah. If you're serious, show your money. They didn't, and I think Lille had a deadline where they were like, this is where things are going to happen. And I think in the end, they just went, do you know what? We're going to have to accept Newcastle's bid. And I think that's the good thing that they're doing that. And like they said, walking away with the Ekitike deal, would agree the deal with the club, but it was just the agent. And I think the sense was that the player wasn't necessarily overly enthused about coming here, because I think if he was, I think he probably would have pushed his agent and says, no, you need to make this deal happen. And I've always said, if a player doesn't want to be here, don't sign him. There's plenty of other players around. I do think we need a centre forward for the simple reason that Wood hasn't shown that he can replace Wilson, and Wilson isn't going to stay fit for 38 games. I agree with the right winger. The only thing with that is I think if we do bring in a right winger, you are going to see Mickey go. I know it's frustration because everyone loves Miggy, but statistically, I think he's got as many assists as Kieran Clark. Over
Less goals.
Yeah.
He got 1 goal or assist last season. It was the Crystal Palace goal. Didn't get any assists.
Exactly, and it's like he works hard, which is great, but when you're not doing the assist part, which is basically your job as an attacking player, Jacob Murphy's probably better, in that sort of role ahead of him. If you're gonna, I know, Jacob Murphy isn't the best, but he knows how to put the ball into a box. So in that sense, he's probably got more assists, than Miggy. You look at Ryan Fraser; he's a player reborn under Eddie Howe. But I just think we'll probably need a right winger. And I know people, but why not try and push for Ishmael Assar at Watford? Because I think you could probably get him for about 20 to 30 mil. I don't think it's going to be a massive amount. I don't think it's probably going to be the sums that we're talking about with Diaby, where it's like 60 million. 20 to 30 million, even if I go with 20 million straight off and then another 10 based on appearances and stuff like that, because if you spread it over, for FFP, spread it over, it doesn't do that. I just think something like that, but I do think we need a striker, and I think we'll probably need maybe a youngish one, but a one that's able to come in. It's difficult to think who it's going to be, because even Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which we discussed last week, he's probably going to Everton are probably going to demand a lot from him, especially if they let Richarlison go. But time will see. We've still got plenty of time, and that's the thing. We've signed these 3 players, so we've done quite a bit in the market, and we're not even in July yet.
Yeah, another refreshing thing. Waited all that time for Joe Willock last summer, and he didn't even make the first game of the season, I don't think. So
I think he'll be like a new signing this season.
Joe Willock.
Yeah, I genuinely do. You imagine a midfield of Joe Willock, Joe Linton, and Bruno. That's and that's like the Joe. And I'm talking about the Joe Willock that we've seen last. Scoring 7 or 8 goals in a row. That sort of Joe Willock in there, with your Maxi, let's say a new right winger and Callum Wilson in that, with the back line we're going to have, it's going to be frightening.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're missing a striker, and I think we're missing a right winger. But considering we've signed those guys, the guys we have already, by July, it's not even the 1st of July yet. The new season hasn't even officially started.
I'm still impatient that we haven't signed a striker and a right winger yet. That's just, as a Newcastle fan, you get impatient. You're like, well, how about, come on, pre-season starts, and
we'll have nothing more to talk about if they get it done by now. Like we've got, Mark, we've got a few more weeks to go before we play Nottingham Forest. We need to fill the content somehow.
Well, we've got the pre-season fixtures.
That is also true. But let us know what you think in the comments below if you're watching along. They love Sarr, but resigned to him leaving. Good value at 20 million. Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. There's a lot of players linked. I mean, even Rafinha and all that has been linked this week with Jack Harrison from Leeds. It's gonna be interesting to see how the one plays out. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about in the coming weeks about Newcastle's attacking options. But we're not going to talk about that for now. We're going to move it on to a new kit release. Newcastle released their 3rd kit, and it's caused quite the reaction due to a colour scheme that very closely resembles that of the Saudi Arabia flag. Of course, PIF, that own 80% of the club, and quite a few people that are unhappy about that. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's practices that a lot of ownership groups go with. Like Chelsea had Russian colours a couple of years ago. Like Man United have had a silver and red kit, which is very similar to the Glazers American football team, the Buccaneers, over the years. Like it's just a standard practice that companies go with. Just like Mike Ashley had Sports Direct plastered all over St James's Park. Like it's just one of them. And I know journalists like Adam Crafton and people like that will use it as a stick to go, well, it's sports washing, it's this, but it's just standard practice of many clubs in this day and age. Like, it's just one of them. I know they'll highlight Newcastle because of the colour scheme and stuff like that, but To be honest, it is a nice top, and that's as far as it goes for me. Like, I know loads of people will look further into it, and I've seen a couple of tweets from journalists over the past couple of days really like going in on it, but really it's just a green and white top, like pipe down. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, it's just standard practice. Like,
I mean, Mark, is this any deeper than Castore going to Newcastle and saying we've come up with this design? You know, it's white and green. You know, and getting the sign off and then thinking, yeah, that looks nice. Or is there genuinely any sort of motivation to make this resemble the Saudi Arabian flag?
Well, it wasn't to resemble the Saudi Arabian flag. It was more to resemble the Saudi Arabian national team kit. And that's why they tried to use the comparisons. But I'm like, right, well, I'm sure there's many kits around the world that are similar in colour, but you're not tagging them. Newcastle have wore green and white kits previously, but yeah, do you want to? Are we going to try and bring those into the association? I look at it and go, Castore's looked at it, looked at the colours. Yeah, Castore might have thought, you know what, there is a link to the Saudi colours. Can we play on that to potentially open Castore into a new market into the Middle East? Because that's the one thing that you need to remember as well. Castore is quite a new company, and they're building in the Premier League in terms of their brand. But could they then be looking and going, well, actually, this could be a cracking chance to get us into the Middle East and sell our products in the Middle East? Yeah, so that's where I think it's coming from. Yeah, of course, the club will have had to sign off any of the kits, and they might have went, actually, do you know what, that looks really nice. I think it does. When you look into it, which you don't see on the pictures, but if you actually look at the kits themselves, there is a tonal map of Newcastle on there. So it's not technically white and green, it's white and green with a map of Newcastle, which is great for any visitors, because if they get lost, they can just look at the kit.
An expensive map. It's expensive for a map. I mean, it'll cost about 65 quid.
Well, it's not worth the money. You're getting a kit and a map all in one, you know.
God, do you remember when kits used to be £40? I'm just seeing in the comments here, it's an unsubtle move from the owners for sure. Statement that was always going to rattle feathers. I assume you mean rattle feathers. But it's been their rights to colour away kits in their colours. That's true. I can see John Gandy there. Kit is a bit of a pointless PR fail, in my opinion. I mean, you know, when I saw it, I mean, I thought, is that necessary? Like, you know, considering the takeover in itself, you know, is, you know, in the wider football world seen as controversial. You know, Kyle, is it wise to be drawing more attention to it and drawing more, you know, just giving people another headline to write?
To be fair, Will, like the journalists will look for anything to take a dig at. Well, like some of them in any way will take any chance they can get. So they'll see a green and white top and they'll go,
Ollie Holt.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I'm sure he'll be so against the regime of the club and that while he's watching Anthony Joshua fight Usyk in the same country. But that's by the by. Like, but that doesn't count or anything. It's not sports washing then. But like, yeah, I just think anyone will look for anything to poke the Saudi Arabian kit. Will stick with Newcastle United involved. They'll just look for each and everything. And to be honest, as fans, it's something we're going to have to get used to, because that's the way journalists are in this country. They'll find something and they'll just hammer with it all the time. But it's bizarre, but yeah.
People are saying it's sports washing, but yet there is more debate about the human rights issues in Saudi Arabia than there has ever been in this country. So in that sense, is it not a good thing, because there is more of a debate and there's more awareness of the human rights issues in another country, which means sports washing isn't working, because sports washing is supposed to do the opposite of that. It's supposed to turn people's opinions against that and to make them look positively among Saudi Arabia. Well, that isn't happening in this country. But also, and we need to look at that. Look at the human rights in the state, for example, which are questionable. Look at the human rights issues in the UK. No one's got it right. And until we've got it right as a country, why should we be the ones then dictating the laws which are part of their religious beliefs? why should be the ones dictating that? We might not like it, which it's true. I don't necessarily like some of the human rights issues that are happening, and that's in any country, whether or not it be Saudi Arabia, Qatar, North Korea, there's many other countries. But at the end of the day, it's just a kit. If people like it, they'll buy it. If they don't, they won't. It's as simple as that. I actually think it looks quite a neat and tidy kit, and I actually think the map that they put on there is subtle, but it's really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, there'll be the Ferrari, and then that'll end. It's as simple as that. There'll be a couple of weeks of articles written, and then they'll move on to the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing. Yeah, it's just something that we're going to have to get used to. Man City fans probably had all this, when it all started, and then Man City became the media darlings, and I'm sure times will change. It's just that where the thing that we're looking at. The one thing which you also need to look at, especially when if we're looking at that away kit, is the fantastic deal we've got on that new shirt sleeve sponsor.
What with the Noom?
Yeah, Noom. It's supposedly more than what we're paying for Fun 88.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing, because that's something which I've just seen. Gary going, what about the PSG sponsors for 70 million? But if you look at that, we basically increased what we'd got for the sleeve by 8 times. So if that's what the Premier League signed off, which they will have for it to be announced as that, then they've got to be happy with 8 times the increase when it comes to the sponsorship of the main front one, which I think is about 6.5 million. So you times that by 8, that's a massive increase in money that we're going to get in each year in terms of the sponsorship. And we're not looking at that. You might then see sponsorships for other things. You might see sponsorship on the back of the player's shirt. You might see the training ground named a different sponsorship. So there's so many things that we're looking at there. I'm just happy that we've got some people in charge of the club, that know what they're doing, and I actually think both kits are nice.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Kyle, is there dwell on this a little longer? Is there kind of a level that you wouldn't accept in terms of the in terms of sponsors coming in, or if is it like changing if they try to change the home shirt to green and white, for example? I am just spitballing, or they try to put change St James's Park to a name. Is there a level that you wouldn't accept from this ownership?
Well,
even if it greatly increased our revenues.
If they say everything has a price, but one thing I don't think does is the club culture. Like, you kind of change the black and white stripes. St James's Park will always remain. Like, when Mike Ashley tried to change it to the Sports Direct Arena, it didn't wash. Like, because there was no reasoning behind it. I think it would split fans' opinion a lot if they were to change it into St James's Park. They were major sponsor, but if it was bringing in a lot of money, I suppose there'd be an understanding at least. Whereas under Ashley, it was just, he has my other business, he has a billboard at St James's Park for it. Like, I think there'd be a bit more understanding, but I think the line, if it affects the values, the club values of Newcastle United, like changing the black and white stripes or I think that's where the line is. But for me, I think if they're going to implement their funds and implement their vision with the club's culture and what the fans want within that, then I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic. I mean, Mark,
I don't think they ever would.
Nah, neither do I.
Yeah, the fact they know the culture, the fact that they brought Shiva's statue back into the footprint of the stadium, the fact that they turned Nine Ball back to Shiva's, the fact that they even cleaned the windows, for Christ's sake. Yeah, that was one of the most talked about things, I think, on the Chronicle in 2021. Oh my God, I think that was the most video watched. Yeah. Oh my God, they're cleaning the windows. It's like silly things like that. Yeah. Look at what they're doing now. They've got like like flag banners or something in the Gallagher now. They've got new flooring in. They've painted it so it looks nicer. I'm like, just these little things, just showing attention and love to the stadium. Just those tiny little things is making the heap of difference in there. And let's keep it going.
Have they got rid of the Gallagher pigeon yet?
No, they've got to keep that. I think it's sort of like written into like the contract with the city council for the Lions. Yeah, the pigeon needs to stay.
I will get that trending. Keep hashtag keep the Geordie pigeon.
Oh yeah,
No, the Gallagher pigeon.
There's Steve with a cracking one, cleaning windows, proper sports washing.
Deary me, yeah. I feel like this is. I mean, Mark, just to kind of finish off this topic. I mean, is this something that's ever going to leave Newcastle, or is there always, whatever happens, is there always going to be this stigma around the Saudi ownership? Is this just something we're going to have to get used to, effectively?
Yeah, it is. Man City fans, I've spoken to Man City fans, and they still have that stigma, yeah, because of the ownership. It's not going to go away, but it's not for fans. It's not for football fans to change what's happening in another country. That's down to the government, and to be fair, this government can't sort out what's happening in this country, so yeah, they're not going to be able to do anything in another country. But yeah, let's just focus on the fact: are they doing the right things for the club? Are they doing the right things in terms of the culture? Are they protecting the club? Because that's the one thing that we need to look at. Yeah, look at what's happened to Derby County and how close they've been to the brink of going out of existence. Look at what happened to Bury. Look at what's happened to clubs like Oldham and stuff like that. Look at Bolton, where the organisations have allowed this mismanagement to happen and allow these clubs to go out of existence. We need to remember that football clubs are a community, and I actually believe that these owners know that and they understand that, and they're building up that community.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that togetherness now. There was a really massive divide with Newcastle fans under the previous ownership. There is not now. There is complete togetherness with the fan base, and it's just amazing to see.
Yeah. Well, Mark, that leads us really nicely into the next point. Let us know what you think about the kits. Is it a marketing ploy to sell more in the Middle East? Is it just an incidental design, or is there something more at play here? Let us know what you think in the comments below. But we're going to move on to our final point here. You talk about the fans. I mean, this was remarkable. How do we solve the season ticket demand? So, for anyone that isn't aware, the club released 1,000 more season tickets for sale for this season a couple of days ago, and only 1,000 were available. 30,000 people tried to apply for it. 30,000 people were on a website at 10 a.m. I think the website crashed for a number of people who were unfortunate enough not to get season tickets. But this is, if anybody was concerned that the soul has left Newcastle, Kyle, I think this proves more than anything. This is probably the strongest it's been in a generation.
Yeah, it is. Like when I was little and that, me dad used to talk about the Keegan years a lot and the entertainers team, and season tickets used to be rarer than rock and horse shit. And like I used to think, well, it isn't at the minute because we owned Ashley and it was relatively easy to get the games home and away. Whereas now you've got 30,000 people trying to get 1,000 tickets. It's absolutely mental. Like I've never seen anything like it. We've went from Mike Ashley not being able to give 10,000 season tickets away to 30,000 waiting for 1,000 season tickets. It's quite a spin, but there's a lot of fans that went away over the years, a lot of fans that decided to boycott Newcastle because they wanted rid of Mike Ashley. They're all coming back now because they believe in the club again, they believe in the vision, the project. It's good to see fans across the entire Newcastle community and wanting to be a part of that again. It's just like you said before, the fan base has been so divided in recent years with boycotts and anti-Ashley groups and meetings and protests and what. Like it's just been mental over the past couple of years. It's for everyone to be united and trying to. The biggest fights these days will be over the season tickets. To be honest, but it's just nice to see the fans wanting to be in St James's Park again. Once again, I think even towards the end of last season, away tickets were bloody impossible to get a hold of. It's going to prove the same again. Like, tickets are going to be once again rarer than rotten horse shit for sure.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic I can get to any games next season, unfortunately. I mean, Mark, a couple of people have raised this point. With such a high demand for tickets now, the question of the stadium being expanded comes back into it, and how big could we make the stadium? Is it even possible? Would we have to knock it down and completely restart somewhere else? Would we have to look somewhere else completely to start afresh? What are your thoughts? Well, how big do you think a stadium could be and Newcastle could still fill it?
I'd say 80 to 90,000.
So it's probably about a third the population of the city.
Well, you're looking, there's 52,000 seats and there's 30,000 waiting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at least 83,000.
Well, they wouldn't have sold. Well, it was, how many season tickets did they already sell? It was like 30 something.
Well, no, but let's say, you're roughly good. I'd say between a 70 to an 80,000 capacity realistically. But I still think we'd get that, because the one thing that you're going to get in Newcastle now with the new ownership is similar to what you get like with Man U and Liverpool. You will get the tourists. You will get them like wanting to try and watch a game, when they're in Newcastle and that. Yeah. So those sort of things are still going to happen. It is, like I said, not necessarily a big one, but I'm just so glad that I stuck out the bad years, because I'm now seeing the good years. And that's the one thing there. There was just something in this where I'm like, no, whether or not it's the optimist in me, but I'm like, no, I'll stick it out, because there will be good times. And by me doing that, I'm seeing, But it is one of the. It was so difficult to, for those that went away, and it's fine. They had their reasons for going away, and I understand them completely. But no one was ever going to win in this one, especially if there's only 1,000. You also look at, I think, the black and white memberships that are getting released tomorrow. It's basically one ticket per membership, whereas you used to be able to get, I think, 2 per your membership. So even that, they're now saying, we're being very restricted. They know that there's going to be a demand for match day tickets. You are not going to see an empty seat at St James's Park at any point this season.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the director's box, but that's that. But no, you're not going to see that. It's going to be absolutely packed, and it's great to have that to be able to say we're sold out. In terms of expanding the stadium, people are still seeing the Gallagher. I just don't think that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Unless St James's Metal was closed, I just don't think it's a possibility, because I just think foundations wise, I just can't see anything happening. The only thing that I could see potentially happening is a very big bung to be able to knock down the Grade 2 listed buildings behind the East Stand, or spending the money to basically, because I'm sure there's a bit of land which I think is like Leeds Park, which is like grass or tennis court or whatever. But even if we could just manually, like brick by brick, move the listed building over to that section, you'd still be able to get an extension in there. Whether or not it's 5,000 to 10,000 extra seats, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But the only other option that I was looking at, there's 2 options where I was looking at, because if we are going to build a stadium, I still think it needs to be in the city centre to keep that heart. Yeah. And the one that I was looking at is just behind the stadium. You've got the Leeds Park.
Yeah.
And you've got like a grass area, which is probably big enough to build a stadium, but still keep like the pond area of Leeds Park. But then what I would look to do is knock down. So it's basically like rebuild St James's Park, in that sort of fashion. So it looks like St James's Park has just moved up a little bit. But then what I'd love to do is say, right, we understand that we're losing that grass area, but what we're going to do in front is make what was St James's Park into a park area again. So we're still keeping the greenery, but it's just, that capacity. The only other area that I was thinking of, whether or not we're going to do it, is the arena site.
Yeah. I mean, Carl, what are your general thoughts? You know, is a stadium expansion possible? I mean, there's also you're gonna have to chuck in logistics as well in there of maybe say what we do is complete the ring and it's the sort of full 2 tiers like you see on the Melbourne and the Leisure stand. You know, it's an 80,000 seater stadium. You've now got 80,000 people trying to funnel out of a very small area, really, in a city centre. You know, between houses. It's not like it's in the middle of nowhere with that people can kind of disperse out of. You know, they're all going to be quite squeezed in.
Yeah, but Geordies need the bars.
Yeah, but is it even possible? You know, is it even possible to? Will it even be possible to expand St James's?
It's very complex because the problem is Ashley sold all the land around the ground, so it's like he's made it very difficult to expand from there. Either we'll look at getting the surrounding.
Money talks. Money talks, though.
True. I mean, I think an expansion is definitely something we should look at in the future. I think 60 to 65,000 would be something that would keep the atmosphere level high, if not make it even better than what it already is now, which will be some feat if they manage to do that. But I think anything more would be a step too far right now. I think if they were going to have a 75,000-80,000 seater stadium, they'd have to move it. But like Mark says, and I completely agree with, I wouldn't want it outside the city centre. Like it's just it's got its own unique thing where it's a club city, and the stadium is in the heart of the city. And yeah, I think that's one thing. I think it makes us very, very different from the rest of the league. So my stance would be, if we can get the surrounding land back that Mike Ashley sold in the past, then I think we can expand it, and it would be nice to see fully expanded, similar, because there was plans in the past for it to look very similar to the Amsterdam Arena in Holland. So like, if they can replicate that kind of thing, then go for it. I'd be all for it and I'd support it. But it's just a case of can they get the surrounding area of the ground to do it.
See, if we complete the ring, I think you'd probably get a better atmosphere because it would keep it in. Where I think at the minute it keeps it out. But that for me is the charm of it. The fact that someone in Walker can hear Newcastle fans singing, "Hey, na Geordies," because of that, because of the way that the ground is. That noise travels and you get to hear it. Like you said, you can be walking down Northern Street and you'll hear the roar when Newcastle score. Yeah, it's all those sort of things. But yeah, it's difficult because I absolutely love St James Park and I love the way it looks. Yeah, but
I know a unique stadium. There's nothing else.
It is, like. Yeah. But I also know that if we are gonna, move on and progress, then there will be the need for another stadium.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd never want to do like the Town Moor, because I just think the Town Moor and like Exhibition Park, that sort of area, that needs to stay where it is.
Yeah.
But if you could do something with Leisure Park where you could potentially build the ground, but then use that's because that's the one thing that I think would be a great thing to say, look, we'll build on this green land at Leisure Park, but what we'll do is we'll replace it. Mm-hmm. So the city's still got that level of greenery in like the other sections, and it might make like a nice walk through. Like, oh, we're going to walk through the park to the ground, yeah. So it's just those sort of things, yeah. And it just means you're walking a little bit further up the hill to the stadium, but it's still quite central. It's still next to the Foundations building. It's still next to all the pubs, yeah. So when we've won and we win again, yeah, you could just crawl, yeah. You crawl out because you've already had a few drinks in the thing, and then you just crawl into the other bar, and then you end up, crawling into the taxi and falling at your front door there by the time. But that's the thing that I just think that's what makes us so special, because we are a city centre stadium. Yeah, you look at like Old Trafford and that, it's like out of the way. The Etihad for that, they've got a great sort of like fan zone, so that's probably an exception, because I do think that is really good what they've done. But that's still like out of the city centre. Mm-hmm. Yeah, quite a lot of the stadiums are, and it doesn't have that same level of sort of like buzz that Newcastle does.
Yeah. I remember seeing a plan like they might have to rotate the stadium 90 degrees clockwise in order to make it fit and probably move it to Leazes Park. It'll probably have to be similar to what Tottenham did, where they sort of tried to build and take down the stadium at the same time. What we do in the meantime, though, no idea. I mean, wouldn't it be great to see a Premier League game at Gateshead Stadium? In the meantime, if that's even possible.
What, just like another probably 42,000 scaffold seats?
Yeah, just
Get your ladders.
Yeah, people climbing up onto the roof. I mean, it's either that or Ground Share Stadium of Light. I don't know what the other alternative is.
Hell on.
Wouldn't want that.
Can we just put everyone to like the Man City Stadium, the Etihad or something? Yeah. I'll travel. Yeah.
How far would you be willing to travel for Newcastle home games once we built a new ground?
The Etihad is probably.
That'll work for me. I live in Manchester. You know, if we had to ground share with them, I wouldn't be too mad. But yeah. Anyway,
can
guys,
we not get Middlesbrough to build like an extension? Because Middlesbrough I'd probably be happy with. Yeah.
Next to Red Car.
Have you seen how much their season tickets are? It's crazy. Like Middlesbrough season tickets are more expensive than about 15 Premier League teams. I think they're charging like £700 a ticket or something crazy like that. Middlesbrough. But yeah, it's definitely a big topic. I mean, well, just to close it off, then, Mark, Kyle,
we'll do a Spurs. We'll go to Wembley.
It's a long commute. Still 50,000 in the stadium though somehow.
Oh no, we're going to 90 then. We're just absolutely like it's true though. You still would. If Newcastle said, "Oh, we're moving to Wembley," you would still sell out 90,000 capacity in the stadium. Because that's what Newcastle fans are. They're just absolutely crazy. Plus, we'll be in Wembley.
There we go, break the curse. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your contributions, Kyle and Mark. It's been a pleasure as always. But yeah, thanks so much for all your comments. It's been great to see so many people in the chat today. We'll be back next week for more Newcastle news, more Newcastle topics to discuss. Hopefully, some more transfer news to dig ourselves into. Kyle, Mark, thank you so much.